You know the feeling that you get when you're tipsy? Like you're conscious and you're aware, but at the same time, you're just in a blissfully calm state. Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to What's the Point? So this is the final episode where we discuss Sadhguru's book, Inner Engineering. If you haven't seen the previous episodes that discuss this book, I would suggest you go there and come back here quickly. And let's get straight into this final part of the book. The last part of the book talks about our identity. Okay, think about this. Once we get identified with something, we fully function from within that identity. Like if you identify as a woman, then all your thoughts and emotions come from this identity. If you identify yourself from a particular race or a particular country, then all your thoughts will flow from that identity. If in high school everyone saw you as a nerd or as the studious girl or whatever, then all your thoughts, emotions, actions, behaviors will flow from that identity because that's how people see you. But you see, because of this identity that we've constructed, we see a very distorted version of the world. It's like, for example, let's say you have a knife and you're cutting an onion. Now you finish cutting the onion. Without washing the knife, now you sit and cut an apple. Won't the bits of the onion which are stuck on the knife go and rub off on the apple as well? So those onion bits that are stuck to the knife are distorting how the apple is going to taste. So a knife only helps when it's clean, basically. Right now, you identify yourself with so many labels, and at the same time, you're trying to stop thinking and control your mind, and it's just too much, it won't work. See, at the end of the day, irrespective of who we think we are, when we die, all this identification will fall away. But what Sadhguru says is that if we learn to drop these voluntarily before, life will become beautiful. You stop putting all these identifications and limitations in your head, that is when you will travel to your true nature and how you actually are. Obviously, this is the easiest thing to say, but let's understand practically why we do this and how we can actually change it. Sadhguru says that our mind has 4 dimensions. Number 1 is the intellect, the logical part of our mind. Number 2 is the memory. This memory gathers and stores information from everything in our past. Number 3 is the awareness. This is beyond the first 2 dimensions. And number 4 is something called the ahamkara, which is from where we get our sense of identity. Let's leave aside the 4th dimension for now and focus on the first 3. So while our intellect and the logical part of our mind is very, very important and crucial for our survival, it has taken up a disproportionate amount of importance in our life. And it's coming in between us and our experience of the world. Why is this intellect a problem? Very simply put, your intellect and the logical part of your mind is dipped in your memory. The memory or the accumulative part of your mind is basically like society's garbage bin. All the impressions that you've gathered from outside, what your friend told you, what your parents told you, what your teachers told you, all of this is in your memory, and your logical part of your mind functions based off of your memory. So every thought that arises in your mind and every decision you choose to make is based off of data that you've already accumulated in your past. That's why you can't change the way you think or the way you act. That's why you feel constrained at times to be the way you've always been. If you keep your intellect dipped in your past, then the conclusions that you draw about life today are completely distorted because they're all seen through the lens of your past. But the book says that instead of dipping your intellect in your memory, you need to dip it in your awareness. Now, what is this awareness that I've been talking about? Awareness is the part of your mind that is just there, that is completely untouched by memory and that is connected with the source of creation within you. If we learn to dip our intellect and base our logical decisions based on our awareness, then we'll be seeing the world in a very clear and a very different way. How do we actually access this and do this? It's not by trying to be aware. That's just going to make you hyper for no reason. It's more about just keeping your body, mind, and emotions aligned. Being awareness just is. You can't do something about it. You know the feeling that you get when you're tipsy? Like you're conscious and you're aware, but at the same time you're just in a blissfully calm state. You're not drunk, but you're not sober. You're tipsy. That is how it feels like all the time if your intellect is dipped in your awareness, because you're fully conscious, but you're also blissful. There's nothing from your past that is distorting the way you see the world. Another thing that this book addresses is the myth of the head versus the heart. You know how sometimes we say that I don't know what to choose between my head and my heart. According to Sadhguru, there is no distinction between your head and your heart. Now, let's understand this. According to yoga, you're one person and there is no distinction between your head and your heart. Normally, we assign our thoughts to our head and our emotions to our heart. But if you think about it closely, how you think is the way you feel. Simple, right? If you think you're a wonderful person, you feel good on that day. If you think you're a horrible person, you feel pathetic. Both your thoughts and your emotions are part of your mind. It's just that your emotions are in the deeper emotional part of your mind called the memory, the second dimension. Even though the way we think is the way we feel, why do thoughts and emotions feel different? It's because our thoughts have a certain clarity about them. They're faster, and emotions are slower. They take time to catch up to our thoughts. Classic example, if you're in a relationship with someone and he does something bad, your thoughts are telling you he's horrible, break up. But your emotions will take time to catch up to this. Your emotions can't change that quickly. But the point is that it's not useful to create these polarities within yourself and think of the head and the heart as two different things, because your thoughts and emotions actually come from the same place, and that is you. The point of all this is that if we're willing to drop these ideas and these identities that we're attached to right now, we can fully create a new life and a new way of thinking right now. Now that we've covered the body and the mind, let's come to energy. So we established that humans have a longing for expansion. And because our senses are outward bound, like our eyes, ears, nose, they all sense outward things that are happening in the outside world, we naturally believe that an outward expression is what will bring us fulfillment. Your mind may want a new car, your body may want food, but your energy always, there's only one thing it wants, which is more, a desire to expand. As we've just discussed in elaboration, that the content of your physical body is everything you've accumulated through food. Your mental body is everything you've gathered from outside and from what other people have told you and your experiences. So your mental body and your physical body are all things that belong to you, but they are not you. Your mind is just a very complicated mess of everything that you've accumulated so far, from based on what your parents have said, what your friends have said, what your teachers have said, and everything you've experienced. All that this book really says is that we need to create a distance between us and everything that we've accumulated from the outside. And don't get me wrong, these thoughts, these experiences that you've had, they're very useful in certain situations. So this is something you accumulated, you've gathered, it's with you. It's like a suitcase. You can choose to put it down and create some distance between who you are and what you've gathered. You can use it whenever you want, but you need not be identified by it or distorted by it. All your memories, all your ideas, all of this belongs in a very psychological realm. And you can only experience and live life fully if you move from the psychological to the existential realm. Yeah, and that's what this entire book is about. It's just saying that you can have a more profound experience of life if you care to look deeper and just understand yourself better. Sadhguru ends by saying that the only thing that's missing really is human consciousness and like caring to understand ourselves and look deeper. And if we as human beings stop obstructing our own path to happiness, everything is possible, because only we are obstructing our own part, happiness. He concludes by saying that your joy, your bliss, your misery, everything is in your own hands, and there is a way out, and the only way out is in. That is it for this episode and this book, guys. Genuinely, this was one of the deepest and the best books I have ever read, and I'm glad that I could share this and break this down in the podcast. I'm sorry this took a while and a few episodes, but it was just too complicated to explain it all in one go and then just like not explain anything nicely. So I thought I had to do justice to it, which is why I broke it down into all these episodes. And I hope it added value to you, and it might, some parts are flowery, okay, but I think it's about choosing which part makes sense to you, and just even if you pick up 1-2 things from this book, it can fully change the way you live and experience life, because that's how what I do. Like for me also, some things are too idealistic. Like for example, it says that, you know, our body is meant for only raw and cooked food, but now if I want to eat cake, I will eat cake. So it's like, it's about picking up things that you think you can implement and do, and just knowing that this is true and it exists, and just picking up what you want to make your life better. Yeah, and that is the whole point. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I will be back next week with another book. If you have any book recommendations that you'd like me to do next, put it down in the comments below, or just reach out to me on Instagram if you're listening to this on Spotify. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.